Hi, so welcome back to Real Auto Reports for this Real First Impressions video edition on the 2014 Mini Cooper hardtop, and this is the Mini Cooper S actually. So we have the more performance model here. I'm Jonathan McGrew, this is Real Auto Reports, and we're going to jump in right here from the driver's seat and give you our first impressions, well, late on this 2014. We're seeing it in the press fleet later in the cycle than we thought we might for a 2014. So being that it's not 2014 anymore, we want to give you the review on this car in case you're looking at a new Mini Cooper. And well, a lot has changed for 2014's model year. So let's start with the front. The front of this 2014 Mini Cooper S hardtop, well, the whole design in 2014 has changed by inches. There is like an inch added to the wheelbase. The whole height, width, and everything has changed. The length on this vehicle has increased by inches or fractions of an inch in some cases in terms of height. This vehicle from the front also has a slightly different character and face on it than the previous generation. The headlights are slightly different shape and a little bit more elongated. You're going to notice that we do have the HID headlights here and the clear turn signal package along as part of the sport package that is on this Mini Cooper S. We do have the British green, or British racing green I should say, BRZ paint on this vehicle, the metallic with the stripes, the egg or the crate grill on this, the kind of honeycomb crate grill on this designates the S in the Mini Cooper. And you'll notice that it has fog lights, and it's a pretty low and racy looking car. It actually steers like a go-kart, but we'll cover that in our first impressions on the driving. As we move around to the side, you can kind of see that these vehicles look a little bit larger now. If we had the previous generation Mini Cooper sitting next to it, you would see this slight elongation of the form, slightly wider, slightly taller, and the length is really where it carries the most change. The body still very much Mini Cooper, and you get that soft curved design, very British design still in this vehicle, being true to the heritage of the form and shape of the Mini Cooper. But the greenhouse on this vehicle is elongated and the window areas are thinner than you would have gotten on an original Mini Cooper. They're not as vertical and boxy anymore. As we move around to the rear, you have the newer, more integrated taillights on the Mini Cooper S here that we're testing, and because we do have the S, we have the double tailpipes coming out of the center. This is a neat looking vehicle and does have park assist, but what's interesting, because this is a 14 model year and the 2016 laws have not come into effect yet, this does not have a rear backup camera, even though we have the fairly large interior screen for the Mini entertainment system. This is a neat vehicle though, in that it will help you park with that rear sonar park assist, so that it gives you a very visual experience on the center screen in the dash. This is a vehicle that really is fun, and it's still got some good room with 3 cubic feet of trunk room abouts in the back with the seats up, and when you fold the seats down, you're going to have close to 8.5 cubic feet of storage capacity in the Mini Cooper S here. Now we need to move around to the inside of this vehicle, where I am sitting here talking to you today. The inside of these vehicles are very BMW-esque. They look like a BMW and they feel like a BMW in terms of their controls and the sense of quality and design that you get in this vehicle. This particular car has the white package, the off-white Mini package, Mini Yours Off-White, and I like it. It gives it a slight bit of difference on the interior, gives it that two-tone look. The dash has a kind of pattern to it. They're kind of little squares, you know, turned every which way, if you will. You also have your instrument cluster here and your large entertainment area in the center. Dual climate control, fully auto. Your toggle switch for your start stop. No longer do you have to stick the key into the dash to start the car with your fob, but that does add a bit of difference to this vehicle from the previous generation, in that you have nowhere to put the fob, so you have to kind of remember what you've done with it. Oh, here it is on the seat. You used to be able to just stick this right into the dashboard and use it right away, you know, just start the car up that way, but it wasn't a push button start or a toggle start stop like we have today. The vehicle now has a slightly different instrument setup. This little thing up here on the dash is actually the heads-up display, and you can put it up and down with the little toggle switch in the center stack here. So you can put the heads-up display away and you can bring it back with the touch of a button. It's slightly different than other vehicles as it doesn't display directly on the windshield due to the shape, most likely. So they put this little screen here so that it displays slightly in front of the windshield and still looks like it's out over the hood. But it is tinted differently for glare, most likely, and it gives a very different impression of the heads up. You also have a digital speedometer built into the instrument cluster here. Your speedometer is in the center of the gauge cluster with your RPM gauge off to the left. That's very different than previous generation Minis where the speedo went around the outside of the center entertainment system here, and you had your large tachometer here in the center of the steering wheel. Some people have found that a nit in the new design language in this new generation. But that being what it is, we still have our aux ports in the center here in the interior. This vehicle has the upgraded John Cooper's Works steering wheel in it, which is a nice add and gives you some nice grips here. Now, we don't seem to have a heated steering wheel, but you do have paddle shifters to go along with this 6-speed G-Trag automatic transmission, so you can shift directly from the stick here by moving it over and going up for downshift, back for upshift. That's very BMW method. And then the paddle shifters right here behind the wheel. The other thing that's interesting is that the door locks are here all integrated into the door release to get out of the vehicle. And your window switches and your mirror switches are all here on the armrest for the door now, as opposed to having any window switches out here in the front, in the center stack of the car where they used to be long ago. You also have your sunroof controls, and we do have the optional panoramic sunroof here in the 2014 Mini Cooper S. Now, moving out and under the hood, what you're going to find in this Mini Cooper S for 2014 is a 2-liter turbocharged inline 4-cylinder with 189 horsepower. This vehicle will also have about 207 foot-pounds of torque, and we'll see 0 to 60 in about 6.3 seconds. It's going to have a fuel economy of about 27 miles per gallon in the city and 38 miles per gallon out on the highway, with a combined rating of about 31 miles per gallon, which is not too shabby for a vehicle of this speed and performance and size. It's still a small car, yet it's getting close to 40 miles per gallon out on the freeway, even with nearing 200 horsepower and some really good 0 to 60 speed. Now, you do have the automatic in this version that we're testing here, and that means that it'll be more drivable for some people, but less fun for others who love that manual shift experience. However, the transmission is crisp, and you have a regular mode, a green mode, and a sport mode, and it really does change the shift points and just the entire feeling of the car. Now, moving to how this vehicle drives out on the road, we're going to kind of hit the road here for our real first impressions on how this vehicle drives. And, well, there's just nothing really to say about this vehicle negative in terms of its steering. It steers like a go-kart, but as we pull off the gravel driveway here, you can kind of see that this is a very stiff suspension in the Cooper S. And you would expect it to be. It is a sport vehicle. Now, there's a little bit of turbo lag in this vehicle, but it is smooth and quick. It will get you up to speed. It has a nice exhaust and engine sound. Now, the cockpit will be a little bit more live than you might expect from a high-end vehicle, but it does still have an enjoyable sense about it, and it has a great stereo system in this Cooper S. Now, it also has another feature that they've added to these Minis over the years, which is nice from an economy perspective. If we come to a full stop here, we have the start-stop technology. There, the car turned off. I lift off the brake, it turns back on, and around the corner we go. From a first impressions perspective, this vehicle is on all the time. It's almost hard to drive slowly in the normal and especially in the sport mode, and it does have a totally different sense in both modes. It has rail-like handling, but you're going to notice that it's probably more oversteer happy in this generation with the extra wheelbase length and less kind of tossable or pivotable as the previous generation. But from a first impressions, the suspension is stiff but not teeth rattling. It still absorbs well and gives you a decent ride. The seats are good. The steering is exact and slightly on the heavier side. And all in all, if you like speed and you like sports cars, as you can see, when it kicks that turbocharger in, it is quite the vehicle and it will really get going. So we think if you're in the market for a small, possible 4-seater, really 3-seater if you have someone 6 foot of my height driving, because it is just almost impossible to get someone behind me in this car. But I did have my 6'2" father and my mother, 5'2" mother, in the front and back of this car, and it is possible, and she even said it was comfortable in the back seat. So to wrap up this review, to do the real wrap up on it, what I have to say from a first impressions perspective is it's expensive. Price as tested is just almost at $38,000. And that's a lot for a little car like this, even though you have complete navigation and Bluetooth and satellite radio. You have really good instrument panel controls, quality control. The gas gauge is a little goofy in that it almost looks like it's stickers stuck on for the different things, even though what it really is lit up. But, you know, Minis are a little bit quirky. The toggle switches are really cool from a just design perspective. And it has all the luxury features you'd expect, including adjustable bolsters here on the side of the seat that will squeeze you. Even though they're not electronic seats, you have a ton of adjustment in them, and they are super comfy and heated with a 3-stage heated seat. At 189 horsepower and over 200 foot-pounds of torque, 0 to 60 coming just over 6 seconds, this is quite the fun car to drive, and it really embodies the Mini spirit. So if you're in the market for a small car and still have good trunk room and the ability to carry stuff by folding down the back seats, this is definitely something to work at. Well, work at. You have to work for it to get it, but to look at. And it is great to be able to open the top and motor on a clear day. So if you're in the market, check out the Mini. Now, other cars that are kind of in this similar area would also include the Fiat 500, which is an Italian competitor. You could also look at things from Honda in the Fit kind of category, where you get the sport package and you get all sorts of fun stuff added to it. You could look at a Focus, where you have the SVT type of Focus, or the Focus performance packages and sport packages that they offer. There's all sorts of vehicles that will kind of compete in this niche, in this small to compact car category. So check them out. I'm Jonathan McGrew. This is Real Auto Reports. Like our Facebook page. Make sure you subscribe to our video channel so you get the first notice on new videos. And come back for more real first impressions videos, real videos where we do the detailed review, and Real Auto Talks, where we talk about all things cars. I'm Jonathan McGrew, and we'll see you down the road.